Kindergarten was closed today, so I picked my daughter up. Just as I parked in the underground garage, she whispered, "Daddy, I found Mommy's secret." Let me tell you, she was being all serious and careful like a little grown-up. So I teased her, "What secret?" My daughter said in her sweet, childish voice, "Today, when Mommy bent over, I saw the Chinese character Ko, the one that looks like a square, written on her lower back." Why would Mommy write on her back, Daddy? Does she think it looks pretty? Even though my daughter learned to read early and knows simple things like numbers, I figured she must have seen it wrong. For one thing, my wife, Sarah, is a tattoo artist. She often tests designs on herself, but she's never gotten a Chinese character tattoo. Mostly just artistic patterns. Plus, kids her age tend to get things mixed up. That co-character was probably just some design that looks similar. So I just laughed it off. Seeing I wasn't taking her seriously, my daughter insisted huffily that she wasn't mistaken. I had to humor her. All right. Daddy will check Mommy's back tonight and see if there's a co-character there. Okay. Only then did my daughter nod, satisfied. At 7, after making dinner, 4 dishes and a soup, feeding my daughter, playing with her for a while, and putting her to sleep, I started cleaning up while waiting for Sarah. At 10, I finally heard a knock at the door and eagerly opened it. Sarah was wearing a white silk camisole and high-waisted jeans today. Her back looked incredibly sexy as she turned to close the door. I couldn't resist pulling her into a hug. "Lots of clients today. Are you tired?" Sarah handed me her toolbox, her voice heavy with fatigue. "Exhausted. Had this bizarre client from Guangdong a few days ago. He wants a whole feng shui scene tattooed on his lower back, but nothing I designed is good enough for him. I told him to go somewhere else, but he insists he had his fortune told, and because my shop's at the head of the street, I'm supposedly good luck for him." Huh. Sarah has very high standards for her work. Basically, any suggestion I make, she shoots down. Sometimes, if she's stressed, she'll just snap. "What do you know? You never studied aesthetics or art." So, I usually don't get involved in these discussions. I just let her eat first and think about it later. Once she sat down, I went back to the kitchen to quickly stir-fry some greens. I massaged her shoulders while she ate. After dinner, Sarah and I cleared the table together. As she carried plates toward the kitchen, the hem of her top kept riding up her back. I caught a faint glimpse of a pattern shaped like the character Ko, just as I instinctively leaned closer to get a better look. Sarah accidentally tilted a plate, spilling leftover food onto the floor. I quickly pulled out 4 or 5 paper towels and handed them to her. As she squatted down to clean up the mess, the hem of her shirt rode up, revealing a wide strip of pale skin on her lower back. And that's when I saw it clearly. There really was a Chinese character tattooed on Sarah's lower back. But it wasn't Ko. It was Fei Fei. My daughter had only seen the top half. Staring at the character Fei, my scalp suddenly prickled. Because to an adult, Fei evokes associations far beyond just an onomatopoeia for barking. I met Sarah 3 years ago while traveling. She was a graduate student at the National Art Academy in Nice, France at the time. Her professor was vacationing in Switzerland, and she was taking the train to discuss her thesis with him. She got off in a German-speaking area where not many people spoke English or French very well, so she got lost. I happened to be passing by and helped her get to her destination. The story's simple, really. I fell for her at first sight. After that, I basically became her puppy dog, renting an apartment near her school just to be close to her while she finished her studies. It sounds ridiculous now, but I always thought that if I poured everything into taking care of a girl like that, and she didn't push me away, given enough time, I'd definitely be able to marry her. But well, whenever I brought up the subject of us actually getting together, Sarah would become like a different person. She'd transform from this quiet, gentle woman into someone incredibly irritable, constantly telling me how annoying I was. It made me really depressed for a while. I just couldn't figure out where I stood with her or what her feelings truly were. Later on, my company transferred me back to headquarters. When I said goodbye to Sarah, she didn't ask me to stay. It was only on National Day, after I'd returned to Beijing, that she called. She told me her mother was pressuring her to get married and said that if I was willing, she would marry me immediately. Deep down, I still had feelings for Sarah, so I agreed without giving it much thought. We went from getting together to being married in just about a month. After we got married, my role continued to be taking care of Sarah. Generally, things went smoothly. However, after our daughter was born, Sarah started becoming bolder, especially when it came to our sex life. She'd often tease me until I couldn't control myself. Eventually, I started to figure things out and began to match her energy. Afterwards, I was running my hand over Sarah's waist and asked curiously, "Honey, what's this character Fei Bei on your waist?" Sarah was very sleepy, her words slurring together. "What? Fet? Oh, that's just what that client from Guangdong wanted. It's a feng shui design. The client was born in the year of the dog, and apparently, dogs are only imposing when they bark. So he wanted me to make the design look like the character Fet. Said something about a master claiming it's a technique related to the thunder over water hexagram. Look closely, don't you see the mountains and water within the character? Listening to Sarah explain, I felt a pang of guilt. She worked so hard, dealing with all sorts of picky clients, and here I was suspecting her. She had given me a daughter. My family life and career were both fulfilling. What was there really to doubt? With that thought, I held her tighter. The next morning, I made Sarah her favorite creme caramel. After putting toothpaste on her toothbrush, I woke her up. Once she was up, I changed into my suit and took her daughter to school. Just as we were leaving our complex gates, my daughter asked, "Daddy, is that character on Mommy's waist co?" I shook my head. Of course not, sweetie. That's just a design template for Mommy. She stuck it on herself to see how it looked. My daughter frowned when she heard that. I couldn't resist teasing her. Trying to be a little grown-up today, are we, sweetie? She huffed. I don't want to be a grown-up. Grown-ups always lie. I started to realize something was on her mind. I pulled the car over. My little girl never tells lies, right? And girls who don't lie get to become fairies. At first, she kept her head down. Then she slowly raised it, big teardrops rolling down her cheeks. My heart broke. I quickly scrambled into the back seat to hold her. Is there something you haven't told Daddy, sweetie? If there was something you didn't tell Daddy before, telling me now still counts for becoming a fairy. Pouting, she asked, really? I lied yesterday. That character. It was actually an uncle who wrote it on Mommy. An uncle? That scalp-prickling feeling from the day before crept back into my heart. I was stunned. The fact that my daughter kept bringing it up made it seem highly credible. A child that young wouldn't really understand adult relationships. And if she were lying, it would likely be about her own involvement, not about describing specific unrelated details like that. But Sarah's explanation sounded perfectly reasonable too. Who was I supposed to believe? I decided to investigate myself first. After dropping my daughter off at preschool, I rented a car to follow Sarah. I figured if Sarah was up to something, it would be happening outside the house. So I picked her workplace as the first spot to watch. My palms were sweating as I watched. I couldn't even bring myself to eat lunch. A voice kept pounding in my head. Sarah's cheating on me. Watching the customers come and go, I grew increasingly agitated, wanting desperately to storm into her shop and demand answers. But I knew that doing so would mean the end of our marriage. Sarah hated being questioned. She cherished her freedom. I remembered something from about a month after we started dating. I called Sarah one day and asked what she was doing. Sarah snapped. I'm studying. Do you really need to ask? It's the same thing every day. Don't you get tired of asking? Can't you just give me some personal space? Care about me when it matters, but stop bothering me all the time. I was speechless, unsure how to respond. Maybe I loved her too much, always wanted to know what she was up to, and I neglected to give her space to breathe. When I remained silent, Sarah yelled, "If you don't know how to show you care properly, then just don't." Another 3 hours passed. At 5 o'clock, I got out of the car to use a nearby public restroom. No sooner had I gotten back into the car than I saw a man in a gray shirt standing right outside Sarah's shop door. Sarah pushed the door open. Her face lit up with a smile. The man's hand rested gently on Sarah's shoulder. He was smiling, and Sarah was smiling back. They looked perfectly comfortable together. The sight stung my eyes. A chill spread through my chest. I had to force myself to take a deep breath, but after that, every inhale sent a sharp pain through my ribs. I pulled out my phone and took a picture of the man, then just sat there, silently watching their every move. I couldn't hear what they were saying. After a moment, Sarah went back inside. She reappeared carrying the small shoulder bag she often used, and the two of them walked off together, talking and laughing. I struggled to calm myself down. I wanted to start the car and follow them, but my hands felt clumsy, unsure of where to go. I finally managed to get the engine running and caught up. They only went into a nearby Cantonese restaurant and took a table by the window. I didn't follow them inside. For one thing, the place was busy. It wasn't likely they'd do anything compromising there. For another, I wasn't in any condition to approach them. Do you know that feeling? When you've worked so hard for something, and just when you finally feel like you've earned it, it gets destroyed right in front of you. That's exactly how I felt at that moment. They were in the restaurant eating for 3 hours. I just sat there in my car, watching for 3 whole hours. When it finally came out, I started the car again. My eyes felt gritty. I reached up and touched my cheek. It was wet with tears. I rubbed my face, trying to pull myself together. Just then, an alarm went off on my phone. My heart lurched. I'd almost forgotten to pick up my daughter. I quickly turned the car around and headed for the chess center. My daughter loves chess. Every Wednesday and Friday after school, she goes straight there to take lessons. The center was founded by her math teacher's grandfather. When I hurried in, my daughter was sitting there pouting, eating a piece of strawberry cake and glaring at me. "Daddy," she grumbled, "you're even later than Wang Yuan's mom. Now I'm the very last one here." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "How about next time we beat Wang Yuan's mom, okay?" "No," she insisted. "I want you to be the first one here to pick me up." I scooped her up, grabbing her little cake box, and kissed her cheek. "Okay." Once I had her buckled into the car seat, I couldn't stop myself. I pulled out my phone. "Sweetie," I said, showing her the picture, "take a look. Is this the uncle who rode on Mommy's lower back?" My daughter looked at it and shook her head. No. But that man clearly had his arm around Sarah. How could it not be him? I hadn't figured it out yet when my daughter piped up again, "Is this Uncle Fox and that's Uncle John?" I was even more confused. "What Uncle Fox, Uncle John?" "Sweetie, Daddy doesn't understand what you're saying." My daughter laughed brightly. "Daddy, you're so silly. You don't even get it. It just means there are two uncles." She suddenly stopped laughing. "Daddy, why are your eyes red? Did someone bully you? Let Sweetie make it better. Don't be scared." The moment my daughter leaned her head over and hugged me, I couldn't hold back anymore and started crying softly. My daughter patted my back gently, again and again. "Daddy, don't cry. Grandma says grown-ups aren't supposed to cry." I nodded firmly. "Okay, Daddy won't cry." Today, Sarah came home late again, 12:30. That night, I couldn't sleep at all, tossing and turning. Finally, I checked Sarah's phone. Unfortunately, I found nothing. No suggestive texts, no suspicious calls, no questionable expenses. I had no choice but to put her phone back where it was. The next morning, just as I woke up, a pillow smacked me in the head. Sarah stood there, her face filled with anger as she glared at me. "Ethan, you went through my phone, didn't you?" I didn't say anything, instinctively wondering how she'd found out. Before I could respond, Sarah said, "Look here, in the settings, my battery usage shows it was active from 2:30 to 4:00 a.m. You were the only one sleeping next to me then. So tell me, what exactly are you up to?" "Ha, so meticulous." In that moment, I genuinely admired Sarah. Then suddenly, a hatred surged from deep inside me, erupting violently. It was like a moment of sudden clarity. Why did I marry a woman like this? I wondered. Why? Did I marry her just to torture myself? A plan started screaming in my head. After that, I let Sarah rage at me. When she stopped, I said, "I'm sorry, honey. You've been coming home so late recently, and sometimes you smell like a perfume you don't usually wear. I suspected you were seeing someone else, so I want to check your phone." In truth, there wasn't any strange perfume. I just needed an excuse. Sarah listened, then sneered. "Someone else? If I had someone else, I would have divorced you long ago. There are plenty of men in this world better than you, more outstanding, pursuing me. Sarah, why would I waste my time sticking with just you?" She launched into a tirade, consumed by rage. This was exactly what I expected. Sarah explodes if you push her buttons even slightly. After she had vented, I pulled her into a hug. "Honey, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have doubted you. I know there are plenty of men better and more outstanding than me, but likely none as stupid as me." I kept pleading, swearing I would never doubt her again, before she finally calmed down. Once the argument was over, I made breakfast but didn't eat. I got my daughter's things ready and carried her downstairs. In the car, my daughter took small bites of her egg pancake and asked me, "Daddy, are you mad because Mommy wasn't being nice?" I didn't say anything. After a long pause, I looked at my daughter. "Sweetie, would you be willing to live just with Daddy?" My daughter replied without hesitation, "I would." I suddenly felt like laughing. Most kids are usually closer to their moms, but since our daughter was born, Sarah had never even bathed her. I'd always been the one taking care of her daily life, her upbringing. Sarah claimed looking after our daughter was mentally draining and affected her creative work. Thinking about it now, it was completely irresponsible. I took the wrapper for her egg pancake and asked her again, then, "Sweetie, how about you help Daddy with something, okay?" My daughter nodded. "Okay." I kissed her forehead. "Daddy doesn't feel so good right now. I might be catching a cold tomorrow, so I won't take you to school. Mommy will take you. This is a secret between you and Daddy. You can't tell anyone, okay, sweetie?" My daughter thought about it seriously for a moment. A secret? Are Daddy and Mommy going to separate? I was stunned. Why would she ask that? She seemed a little confused. Last time, Grandma and I were playing on the kiddie rides outside our complex. Grandma asked Mommy to watch me for a bit, and Uncle John came over. He tapped Mommy and said she was naughty. Grandma told me not to tell you, said it was a secret, that if I told, Daddy would think Mommy was a bad mommy and would leave her. This morning, Mommy yelled at Daddy. Mommy is a bad mommy. She recounted this haltingly over 5 or 6 minutes. It felt like needles pricking me. My whole head ached. Sarah's mother knew about this? And she filled my daughter's head with such ideas? It was disgusting, utterly deranged. In that moment, I was grimly thankful that Sarah paid so little attention to our daughter's upbringing. She had no idea how perceptive I'd raised her to be, still thinking she was oblivious, acting without any caution around her. At the same time, I despised Sarah. She didn't deserve to be a mother. On the drive to her preschool, my heart wouldn't stop trembling, and tears streamed silently down my face. After dropping her off, watching her skip happily into her classroom, I hid behind some hedges and sobbed. That night, I stood out in the cold wind for a long time. The next day, I started coughing and sniffling for real. My daughter's maternal grandparents were vacationing abroad and wouldn't be back anytime soon. I had previously told my own parents to let Sarah spend more time with our daughter. So, in the end, Sarah had no choice but to handle the preschool runs herself. I was making a gamble, betting on the intimate knowledge I'd gained of Sarah over 3 years, betting that the promises I'd made her yesterday would make her even more reckless. At the same time, I paid top dollar to hire a tattoo enthusiast to pose as an apprentice at Sarah's shop, to monitor her every move. Everything proceeded according to plan. I went to the store near the kiddie rides my daughter mentioned and obtained the security footage. When a man's face appeared on the screen, I felt like a complete idiot. It was my best man, John, the Uncle John my daughter had talked about. John had been my junior in college. I'd even sponsored his studies at the Villa Arson in Nice. When I introduced him to my wife, I joked about how they'd been at the same school, just a year apart. What a coincidence. They both said it was an honor. She was probably cheating on me even back then. Hatred boiled inside me. I decided on a 3-pronged approach. A week later, Sarah's patience began to wear thin. That evening, she asked me, "You've had this cold for a week and you're still not better? When are you going to start picking up our daughter? She keeps yelling in the car about wanting to watch PAW Patrol. It's interrupting my client calls." Clutching a blanket, I said quietly, "I'll ask her about it later. Maybe explain to your clients. Spend a little more time with her. I'll sleep upstairs again tonight so I don't get you sick." Sarah nodded. "Okay. Make me some soup dumplings tomorrow morning then." "Sure," I replied, docile and obedient as always. I washed my hands, put on a mask, and went to my daughter's room. "Sweetie, did you want to watch PAW Patrol today?" She nodded. "Yeah, but Mommy didn't understand. She was just talking to the uncle on her pink phone the whole time." I smiled. "How about I tell her later, okay? Sweetie, what else did Mommy do?" My daughter shook her head. "She was just talking on the phone." I nodded. "Did Mommy take her phone with her when she got out of the car?" She shook her head again. "No, she had the phone in." She gestured, and I immediately understood where. I breathed a sigh of relief. For a whole week, Sarah hadn't done anything suspicious at the shop, but she'd let her guard down with our daughter. Late that night, I made a phone call. The next morning, as I opened my eyes, I heard a commotion outside. Half an hour later, Sarah was screaming hysterically in the living room. "Someone smashed my car. Ethan, wake up." I got up slowly, my cold finally gone. Sarah's lips were trembling with anger. I went to the bathroom and brought her a damp towel. "Wipe your face. You're scaring our daughter." "Look." Sarah turned her head. Our daughter was standing in the doorway, clutching her stuffed bunny. Sarah glanced at her, then sank to the floor. "Ethan, my car. It was broken into. Everything inside is gone." I asked what was in it. She said, "A platinum bracelet and a pink phone an employee left in the car yesterday." I remember the first time Sarah was robbed, in Florence. She called me crying back then. I told her, "Don't move, just stay put. I'll send a lawyer over right away to handle things." I couldn't rule out potential discrimination from the local police. I always tried to think of everything for her, never once considering she might be lying. Later, she often said, "You know, Ethan, having you around makes me feel so safe, like anything can be solved." She seemed just like she did back then. I stroked her hair and asked gently, "Are you sure? A platinum bracelet and an employee's pink phone." Sarah nodded fiercely. Everything inside me shattered, irrevocably. I went to the property management office to check the security footage. The person in the video was well covered. Their face wasn't visible at all. Sarah sounded desperate. "So we can't find them?" I said, "We can find them. Let's call the police." Sarah immediately panicked. She started to say something, but her phone rang. After she answered it, her expression changed completely. She started walking towards the door, looking lost. I watched her back, saying nothing. After talking for over 10 minutes, Sarah finally turned back. "Ethan, something urgent came up at the shop. I have to go. Don't call the police yet. We'll talk later." I nodded again. "Okay." After Sarah had taken a few steps away, I asked quietly, "Sarah, why can't we call the police?" Sarah stopped and slowly turned back. "I'll explain when I get back." "Explain?" More like she hadn't thought up a good excuse yet. Shortly after she left, my phone rang. It was a woman's scornful voice. Mr. Ethan, pleasure doing business with you. Sigh. I warned you back then, Sarah's just a bitch. Not many good ones come out of art school, but you wouldn't listen, just dove right in and couldn't get out. I'll send the chat logs to your phone as a video shortly. Take a look. You'll definitely be shocked. I just grunted in response. Honestly, I was already filled with despair. The loneliness and sense of betrayal churned inside me, making me not even want to go home. I sat on a bench by the road, letting the plane tree leaves fall onto me. Soon, a file arrived on my phone. The video showed an app called Sugram. Opening it revealed a group chat named Golf Enthusiasts. There were 8 people in it, Sarah, John, and 6 others I didn't recognize, although I knew one of the profile pictures, the man who had appeared in front of Sarah's shop. The chat content was vile. Reading those messages, even as a grown man, I started shaking uncontrollably. It was so filthy. How could the woman I married be this? Dirty? I felt like I was going to throw up. For the first time, Sarah seemed like garbage to me. She completely redefined my understanding of a bad woman. I couldn't read any further. Tears blurred my vision, making the words swim on the screen. I tried to wipe them away, but it was no use. Tonight, Sarah got home late again, 1 in the morning. I didn't ask her about it. She just kept sighing, then finally patted my back. Honey, are you in the mood? Me? It's been a whole month. Let's wait until your cold is completely gone. Sarah sighed. Sorry. My colleague's boyfriend was the one who damaged my car. Apparently, she had something really important on her phone she needed urgently, couldn't reach me, and told her boyfriend. He was drunk and just used one of those window breakers on my car. She apologized today, asked me to keep quiet about it, and said she wants to break up with him. Me-oh. She was right about what she said in the group chat. Even if I suspected her, she'd find a way to smooth it over. Look how well she just explained it away. Sarah moved a little closer. Honey, could you lend me $1 million? I need it urgently. Me? I don't have that kind of liquid cash right now. You know, the company made some long-term investments last month. All the money's tied up. Maybe later. Sarah, but I need it right now. Can't you help me out? I really need it, honey. Whenever Sarah needed money before, I never asked questions, just gave it to her. The first bag I bought her was a medium neo-classic, about 20,000 RMB. The second one was. By the beginning of the year, it added up to maybe several million. I could have suggested she sell some of them then, but I didn't. I refer her to someone else. I know a friend you could ask. A friend. Sarah put her arms around me. Why don't you borrow it then? Since he's your friend, he'll definitely lend it to you. Borrow it from me. Me. We're in the middle of a collaboration. It wouldn't look right for me to ask. The company's funds for the next quarter arrive in a month. I can transfer it to him then. Sarah, thanks, honey. Me, don't mention it. I love you. That was the last time I'd say I love you, filled with deep hatred and the thought of revenge against you. The next day, I gave Sarah my friend's contact information. I'd already told him a few things, and he readily agreed to help me. For the next 3 months, everything went as usual, developing smoothly, just as I had planned and controlled. That morning, Sarah put on elaborate makeup, some kind of matte look. When she finished, I complimented her. Looks great. Where are you going? Standing by the door in a long, green silk dress, Sarah smiled at me. Meeting a client. Your wife looks this pretty, getting jealous. I laughed, looking at a text message on my phone. Your wife set the meeting place at Yunyao Villas, number 17. After a long moment, I thought with disgust, Sarah, you've crossed my line. You chose our daughter's school district department again. An hour later, another text came. I bribed the property management and got into the building opposite. Your wife is bold. She actually left the curtains half open. Curtains half open? I suddenly remembered the day our daughter said Sarah had writing on her body. So this was a habit. I went downstairs, started the car, and drove towards Yunyao Villas, number 17. About 5 minutes away from the villa, I dialed 911. Hello, officer, this is Ethan. I'm reporting illegal activity at Yunyao Villas, number 17. After hanging up, the hatred buried deep inside me erupted completely. I floored it. I parked the car, hurried upstairs. The locksmith carefully picked the lock. The moment the door opened, a sickening smell wafted out. Men, women. I saw Sarah immediately. She was standing by the window, and behind her was the man who had come looking for her at the shop. When Scarlett Williams saw me, her eyes widened. Terrified, she slapped the man on top of her, grabbed wildly for some clothes to cover herself, and stumbled towards me, stammering, "Husband." I sneered and kicked her away. Caught off guard, she fell to the ground like a stray dog. She crawled back. "Husband, it's not like that. He's a client." She kept trying to explain, but it was useless. I'd already recorded everything. Looking down on her, I finally voiced what I'd been thinking. Scarlett Williams, you're filthy. Disgusting and filthy. Just looking at you makes me want to vomit. Just as I finished speaking, a group of people burst in from behind. I figured this was the work of Jason Mitchell's wife. She was the one who'd sent me the message. The group attacked the people inside like madmen, including Scarlett Williams. Scarlett Williams was dragged across the floor. I heard people calling her slut, whore. Scarlett Williams's face quickly swelled up. Blood trickled from the corner of her mouth, but no one stopped. I just stood there watching her being humiliated. She tried to escape, the others tried too, but the door was blocked by several large men. Finally, Scarlett Williams started begging, "Husband." "Who? Husband? Help." My face remained cold. I said nothing because I could hear police sirens wailing below. If Scarlett Williams had been wretched before, now she was utterly frantic. She tried to push past us to escape, lunging forward again and again, only to be shoved back onto the floor each time. Soon, the police arrived. Scarlett Williams was taken away in a state of extreme disgrace. As she passed me, I said lightly, "Oh, by the way, I called your family. The Williamses are downstairs." Scarlett Williams's teeth were visibly chattering. A moment later, I heard desperate screams from downstairs. Go away. Just go away." Standing upstairs, I felt perfectly calm. Soon, the police called me in to give a statement. Scarlett Williams was there too, her face badly swollen, draped in some clothes someone must have given her. The police asked her, "When did this start? How many times has this happened?" Scarlett Williams mumbled, dazed. "This was the first time. I was just so tired from work, I made a mistake. If you don't believe me, ask my husband." "Husband, tell them." She looked at me hopefully, her eyes pleading. I smiled back at her and told the police, enunciating each word clearly. "As far as I know, this is the fourth time in the last 3 months. And she used the apartment I bought for our daughter's schooling to host these encounters. I have clear chat logs here." Scarlett Williams knew it was illegal. This should be considered a serious offense. Alexander Grant. Scarlett Williams's shriek almost tore through the room. She started crying and screaming in a horrible, raspy voice, cursing me, calling me inhuman. Throughout it all, I remained calm. I was glad I'd seen those messages joking about her doing it for money. Scarlett Williams didn't need money. Maybe it was some kind of thrill for her. But that's not how the police would see it. After giving my statement, Scarlett Williams was detained. I looked her straight in the eye and told her, "Scarlett Williams, ever since I found out what you were doing, I planned to be the last straw that broke you. So this is what it feels like to crush someone." Later, Scarlett Williams was convicted of illegal activities and sentenced to 4 years in prison. Her parents came to see me. I held our daughter and wouldn't let them in. The elderly couple looked heartbroken. Alexander Grant. Scarlett made a terrible mistake. Yes, but she's the child's mother. A child needs her mother growing up. Could you, for the child's sake? I cut them off immediately. She never spent time with our daughter, and she won't need to in the future. You come begging me now? Why didn't you watch her when she was fooling around with other men? By the way, everyone in the neighborhood knows. I'm planning to move. A month later, Scarlett Williams's mother died of a heart attack. I went to the prison to tell Scarlett Williams. Her eyes were empty, numb. Tears streamed down her face endlessly as she repeatedly banged her head against the table. I said coldly, "Your mother had a heart condition. You probably drove her to her death." Scarlett Williams's lips trembled. She couldn't utter a word for a long moment. Only as I turned to leave did she scream, "Alexander Grant, you're cruel." "Yeah, I am ruthless. It was only loving you that softened me. Before I met you, I was a very decisive man. Without relying on my family, I became a regional vice president in just 1 year. My parents pushed me to learn diverse skills, making me successful in the business world, but ultimately, because of love, I ended up being your subservient lapdog. This is all because of you." As I explained, Scarlett Williams collapsed, sobbing and banging her head on the floor before me. "Alexander Grant, help me. Please help me, okay? I'm begging you. My life can't be ruined like this." I remained unmoved. "It's already ruined. The police issued a statement, your colleagues, your old classmates, they all know." "Oh, right. Our daughter said she wanted to watch that cartoon she likes, but you were glued to your pink phone, talking the whole time." It seems Scarlett Williams only truly understood then. She lifted her scraped and bruised forehead. "It was you? You plotted against me?" I just smiled, saying nothing. For years later, Xiao Yao Plaza. This was a project, Ms. Yao, and I developed back then. It's doing very well now, and today I invited her to dinner. Ms. Yao grinned at me. "Hey, I heard your wife finish her sentence and got released a few days ago. That night you called and told me Jason Mitchell was messing around. I wanted to kill that man right then. If you hadn't said you had a plan, I would have dealt with him myself long ago. Alexander Grant, I have to hand it to you. You meticulously planned step by step to send your wife to prison, and even got me promoted to VP. Me? Not at all. It was thanks to your help, Ms. Yao. Ms. Yao. Still, that move was brilliant. I had someone trash Scarlett Williams's car. She was too afraid to call the police because she didn't want the contents of her phone revealed. Then, I threatened Jason Mitchell and made him say he was the one who took it. I also had him tell Scarlett Williams that we were getting divorced and that he would have to pay $2 million in damages. Haha, that idiot was scared of me. So he went to Scarlett Williams and convinced her to borrow half the money from you. Alexander Grant, that was part of your plan too, wasn't it? Me, yes. I was Jason Mitchell's sponsor originally. He didn't know any wealthy people, except for me. Ms. Yao. Brilliant, Alexander Grant. You have a perfect grasp of human nature. But I'm curious, you knew how awful she was, yet you still lent her the money. Me, yes. It was lent. I looked at my friend across the table. He lent it. Who paid it back? Friend. It still hasn't been paid back. Ms. Yao grew intrigued. There must be more to it, right? Friend explained. Of course. Scarlett Williams signed a 1-month repayment agreement with me. Alexander Grant verbally told Scarlett he'd help her repay it after a month, but that's not admissible evidence. Alexander didn't acknowledge it, so I sued Scarlett Williams after the month was up. I pulled some strings and had her designated a blacklisted debtor before she even went to prison. Honestly, Scarlett Williams doesn't understand anything besides art. Taking her down was easy, but Alexander couldn't bring himself to do it. Ms. Yao hot. Wow, you two are vicious. I didn't speak, just smiled. I've been through too much. I can withstand any storm life throws at me out there. I saved my last bit of tenderness for Scarlett Williams, and she tore it apart herself. From behind me came a cold voice, Alexander Grant. I turned. Scarlett Williams stood there, holding a suitcase. Her father stood beside her. Both looked much older, worn down. Scarlett Williams had heavy bags under her eyes, deep tear troughs, and dark circles. Her former radiance was long gone. She laughed hysterically through tears. So, it was you who made it impossible for me to buy a plane ticket? You really are trying to leave me with absolutely nothing. I looked straight at her, unwavering. Yes, and let me offer you some advice, Ms. Williams. As a blacklisted debtor, you have no right to custody or guardianship of our daughter. If you try to appeal, you will lose. Beside her, Scarlett Williams's father also shed tears. I will never forgive you in my life. I replied, what a coincidence. Neither will I. I will never forgive this selfish, irresponsible woman who trampled on my genuine love.